Hey everybody, welcome to Cage My IQ. As always, I'm your host, D-Bake. Today I will be recapping Bellator 265, which was headlined by Cheick Kongo versus Sergei Kharitonov. What a wonderful main event with two crazy rounds that they went through. But before we get to that, as always, this is Cage My IQ, the best place for MMA content. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at the handles to the left. We are now partnered with the Fighters First YouTube network. All you need to do is go to Fighters First on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and then also don't forget to hit the like button on this video, and don't forget to hit the notifications button on the channel so you never miss any of the action of our episodes when they post right away. Because you hit the notification button. And as always, we have merch. So all you got to do to see the merch is go to fightersfirst.shop, scroll down to the Cage My IQ collection, click it, and then check out the shirt that we have in 3 different styles, and then the hoodie that we have out too, which is perfect gift for somebody with fall right around the corner. And then we have more stuff coming out in the future. So, and if you buy something from the store, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out on next week's show. But let's get to the action on the Bellator 265 recap. As you see there, of course, Cheick Kongo was in the main event. But with the first fight on the main card, we had a great matchup between Jornel Lugo and Keith Lee, in which Jornel Lugo defeated Keith Lee by first round technical submission. These guys were just moving around a lot in this first fight on the card. This is a co-main event style card. Both of these guys move around pretty fast. Keith Lee is more like a wrestler that can throw, but he just keeps moving, whereas Jornel Lugo, he is a boxer striker that likes to move in and out of the pocket. And you could see that because there's a couple times that Keith Lee tried to shoot and it didn't work out great, but he was connecting on some strikes. Otherwise, he was connecting early. He was putting pressure on Lugo, and it wasn't until like the minute or 2 minute mark that Lugo was starting to get his jab going. He was jumping in, hit the jab, jump out, coming in, coming out. He was mixing in a little bit of the kicks, but it was primarily that jab, and Keith Lee had no answer for the jab. It was like every time that Lugo was going in, he was just getting smacked with that jab, and with a minute left, he got hit with the jab. He got put down on the ground, and that's when Lugo went to the back of Lee, and he had him in the choke. And right before the bell rang for the first round, you see Keith Lee just go right down, and his hands fall to the ground. You see him pass out. The bell rang. Lugo gets up. Then you see, all of a sudden, you see Keith Lee jump up, but stagger, almost trip to the cage, and that's when the ref called for the fight to be over, because he saw that Lee was already passed out and then got back up 2 seconds later and tried to continue, but in his best interest, he had to call for the bell, and they gave the fight to Jornel Lugo by first round technical submission with the rear naked choke that he won by. And then they interviewed Lugo right afterwards, and he said that he wants to see a bantamweight Grand Prix, and they asked him who he wants to fight first, if there was one, and he said Sergio Pettis. He said he wants to take the belt from Pettis and then defend it throughout the whole tournament. So that'll be interesting thing to see in the future if there is a bantamweight tournament. But Jornel Lugo moves to I believe it's 8-0 now, and he looks like a promising prospect in that division that's already stacked with Sergio Pettis up at the top. In the second fight on the main card, we had a heavyweight battle between Marcelo Golm versus Billy Swanson, in which Marcelo Golm defeats Billy Swanson by first round TKO. This was just a matter of getting to see what we had in Marcelo Golm. Billy Swanson is the same type of build as Roy Nelson, and he is really good with his striking, but his cardio as you could tell, was an issue from the start. He was throwing those bombs, and he was clinching up a lot along the cage with Golm to keep Golm from doing much, and it just had a wear and tear on him. And by the 2 minute mark left in the first round, he was gassed. He was already gassed, and that's when Marcelo started doing his work. He started using the strike and pushing him on the cage, just punching him, hitting him with the jab. And at one point, he just hits Swanson with a shot. And with 10 seconds left, he knocked him down to the ground and finished him off with that ground and pound before the ref called for the bell. And now it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Marcelo Golm, because he's had a couple good victories. He's right outside that top 10, or he might have just put himself in the top 10. And now you're at the point where you got to see what he does against the top town in the heavyweight division, against the no names. And if he could get a win in his next fight against one of those guys, then you know that he's going to be a player in this division. But before that, like, he beat the guys he's supposed to beat. Now let's see what he does against good talent in the heavyweight division of Bellator. But in this one, Marcelo Golm defeats Billy Swanson by first round TKO. In the second fight on the main card, on the co-main event, we had Logan Storley defeat Dante Schiro by split decision, 29-28, 28-29, and 29-28. In my opinion, before this wasn't a split decision. It should have been all three judges do it, 29-28. But in fairness, we'll go with what they gave us. But this was the hometown fighter Logan Storley fighting Bellator newcomer Dante Schiro. And it was a kind of a boring fight, but it was good to see Logan Storley dominate, as always, with the wrestling. That's basically what happened the whole fight. Rounds 1, 2, and 3. Logan Storley would get the position, take down Schiro, get on top guard. And then what Schiro did good to kind of minimize that was he had his head above him, so he wasn't allowing Storley to be able to really throw that much. So even though Storley had the top guard, he didn't get the land that much. He was just controlling the top, controlling the position, and keeping him on him. He did that the whole first round. Second round, he did it for a majority, and then Schiro, and then were able to get up. And then Storley got a very nice jab thrown at the end of the second round. And then in the third round, that's when Schiro was able to kind of get on top of Storley, reverse the guard, get on top, hold him for a little bit before Storley was able to then get on top of him. But Storley hit him a couple times, but then Schiro hit him a few good times in the third round before he got back on top, and that's how the fight ended. And I went to the judges' scorecard. I give props to Schiro for being the last at the whole fight with Logan Storley, because he's honestly one of the best pure wrestlers in Bellator, and he showed it in his last fight against Yaroslav Amosov, who's the champion now, who dominated Lima. And Storley had him dead to rights and could have beat him, but he didn't get that choke at the end of the fight, and he lost by split decision. But in this one, he was on the right side of split decision, and Logan Storley defeats Dante Schiro by split decision. He apologized to the hometown crowd for putting on a less than stellar performance, but he did say that he would like to fight Amosov again, and he thinks that he has Amosov's number, and he's a better wrestler, and that's who he wants next. But if he has to fight somebody else because this wasn't a dominant performance, then he'll do that. But all in all, a winning performance by Logan Storley over Dante Schiro. And now we're going to move on to the main event of the evening, which was a heavyweight bout between Cheick Kongo versus Sergei Kharitonov, in which Cheick Kongo defeats Sergei Kharitonov by second round submission. This was a tear of 2 rounds for the most part. In the first round, Sergei Kharitonov was able to get his boxing going. He was able to find range for his jab. He was able to get inside the pocket because Cheick Kongo is the taller fighter with the taller reach, and Sergei's kind of small and his reach is smaller, but he was able to rush inside, get the into jab territory. Was popping him with the jab several times, and then he was moving him back towards the cage. And for like the last half of the first round, that's what Cheick Kongo was doing. He was basically at the cage, just moving along the cage, while Sergei was kind of eyeing him up, throwing the jab. And then probably around a minute and a half left, Sergei was able to hit him with the jab, stun him, and then threw a right hook into a left uppercut that put Kongo down. But Kongo was able to get back up and basically just weather the storm. And then the round finished with some more jabs from Sergei. And then the start of the second round, it was a little bit more of the jab. But then Cheick Kongo was able to get the knee going. He hit him a couple times on the knee. And then the fight really changed around halfway through the second when Cheick Kongo was able to catch him with a nice shot to the face that put Sergei down. And then that's when Cheick Kongo was able to get on top of him, get him against the cage, and land a bunch of strikes on him. And then he was able to get him, throw him down, and then with a minute left, he was able to control him down on there. And then with 15 seconds left, he was able to get on the back of Sergei Kharitonov, and then he put all of his energy into going for a rear naked choke on the back of Sergei while Sergei was trying to get up. And with 1 second left, he was able to make Sergei Kharitonov tap to the submission, and then both fighters just kind of fell to the ground because Cheick Kongo was really exhausted, and he put all his last energy into that submission, and he was able to get it with 1 second left. So Cheick Kongo defeated Sergei Kharitonov by second round submission. This fight could have been totally different. I thought after the first round that Sergei Kharitonov was going to be able to continue the dominance. He was outstriking him 45-16. But at the end of the day, Cheick Kongo defeated Sergei Kharitonov by second round submission. That'll wrap things up for this recap of Cage My IQ, Bellator 265, Cheick Kongo versus Sergei Kharitonov. As always, this is Cage My IQ, best price for MMA content. Give a shout out to our sponsors, 99 Jersey, Oddsjam, and High Tide Herbal. We will see you guys next week to talk about UFC. And as always, I am D-Big, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you guys later.